I'm gonna try and lose body fat over the next 4 weeks while eating mostly burgers. Now, I'm pretty confident that regardless of what I eat over the next 4 weeks, I'll be able to lose body fat because I'll be controlling for calories and protein. But once that question is answered, the next question is, at what cost? Will I feel good? Will solid bowel movements become a faint memory? Will my constant burger farts lead my wife and dog to leave me? Let's find out. Okay, so here's the plan. Over the next 4 weeks, I'll be consuming 2,000 calories a day. I've been on roughly 3,000 calories a day for the last 2 months with a very slow weight gain. So if my calculations are right, I should work out to at least a 500 calorie deficit each day. My lunches and dinners will consist of only cheeseburgers, and I'll be making these cheeseburgers myself in order to hit my protein targets. The rest of my diet will be made up of mostly processed food like protein bars, granola, and Aldi protein desserts. Now, my training during this time will be pretty much the same, although due to the lower calories, I'll probably end up having to reduce my weights a little bit. I will not be increasing my cardio. In fact, I don't really do cardio. However, I may do the odd 10-minute cycle into work, and I'll be focusing on getting over 10,000 steps each day to make sure that my non-exercise activity thermogenesis is as high as possible. I will probably be leaning lots on liquids, coffee, and calorie-free carbonated drinks to help reduce my appetite. I'll also be tracking my body weight daily and doing weekly in-body scans to keep track of my trajectory. Now, at the end of the 4 weeks, I've got a festival to go to. So I've got a pretty good reward/end point event to motivate me. And that's about it. So let's eat some burgers.
First thing to remember is that whenever you start a cut, life is gonna go nuts. You always want that like routine and calm to focus on how hungry you are, and then it just so happens that everything gets thrown at you at once. So the first week has been way harder than I thought it was gonna be, and it was last time. The food volume feels so small. So lunch is literally just a burger on its own. And then dinner's not too bad because it's protein dessert afterwards, the protein bar, but I'm hungry. Like the first day was dreadful. The second day, I kind of thought I was getting into a flow of it and it was feeling good. But then third day onwards, I was just a part of a person. But that being said, I've maintained it really nicely. Only variation I've had is at the weekend. Saturday and Sunday were a mix of moving earth and laying paving stones and building the skeleton for a shed. So I was tired, hungry. I had to add some additional calories just because the energy expenditure on that day was so high. And on one day I just couldn't be asked to make anything, so I just went and bought a pizza. But I don't think that will ruin the experiment in the sense that I arguably ate something that people might perceive as worse than a burger. Not that it is. Now, results so far have me down 2 kilograms from my start date. Now, I don't really expect to maintain that velocity. If I can maintain 1 to 1.5 kilograms per week, that would be I'd be pretty happy with that. And more importantly, 13 burgers later, I'm still not sick of burgers.
Now, the question many of you may be asking for no apparent reason is what's in or how are you making these homemade burgers? So I'm gonna take you through how I'm making each one of these burgers. First off, I'm gonna grease up my pan with a few spritzes of my 1-calorie olive oil spray just to stop it from sticking too much. And then I'm gonna bang that on a lowish heat to get that ready. And then it's beef patty time. So obviously, because this is calorie controlled, where the hell are my scales? There they are. Because it's obviously calorie controlled, we're gonna be weighing stuff. Now, I've managed to get this whole recipe down to about 600 calories with 52 grams of protein, which is kind of just fits in the day's calories. So the beef patty is gonna be 200 grams of beef. I've gone for 5% beef. The main reason being, when I've done this before, I had pre-made beef patties with a higher fat content, and it went from, let's say, 600 calories for the burger to 800 calories from the burger. So having a lean beef patty makes a big difference in the overall calories while still getting enough protein in. Now it's time to add some flavor to my beef. I'm gonna bang in a load of chili flakes, a load of chili powder, some pepper, salt, and some smoked paprika. Now the next bit is a bit grim. I'm just gonna basically give this beef a deep tissue massage.
Give your meat a good old rub.
Once that all mixed, I'm just gonna shape it into, well, a burger shape, if we're honest. And I'm gonna take my beef patty, whack it in the pan, turn the heat up, and I'd normally put the extraction fan on, but that will sound rank for you. Yeah, we're sizzling. Now onto the rest of the burger. Again, I'm gonna keep measuring this stuff. So for sauce, I'm going for a burger sauce, and I'm going for 2 tablespoons. Alexa, how many grams is a tablespoon? So we're gonna shoot for 14 grams per bun. Quick maths. Okay, so bun's sufficiently sauced. I'm gonna add a couple of leaves of lettuce. I'm gonna slice up some tomato. I'm gonna bang a few gherkins in. My jar runneth over with gherkins. And then finally, I'm gonna add a slice of cheese. So after that's all done, I'm just gonna quickly finish off the burger. And then a few minutes later, we are good to go. So I'm just gonna whack that on the cheese. You can argue about your own correct configurations of burger building. And what an absolute monstrosity. I have done the bottom of the bun as the top. But that's fine, it's all the same, we can move forward. And that is my entire lunch, and then again the same for dinner. 600 calories a piece, 52 grams of protein.
So these last 2 days, I went back to Hertfordshire to go and get some tattoos, and everything just kind of fell off of plan. So the whole time was basically the same kind of structure of meals I'd normally have, except I was using fast food restaurants, so Burger King, McDonald's, and KFC. Now they were surprisingly easy to calorie control. The website had good data, it was easy to work out what the protein and calories were. So I kind of expected, barring some, little splurges because I wanted to eat my feelings after being stabbed with needles all day, I expected to either be the same or down a little bit. But I'm actually up 700 grams. Now it could be the fast food. It could be the sodium levels increasing my body water a little bit. But funnily enough, what I think it actually is I think I made some assumptions based on the store-bought protein shakes. I thought that because they were the same amount of protein, they would have worked out to be the same amount of calories. But I think actually there was probably significantly more in there, and it's eked me up a little bit. But I'm gonna let it level out for the next 2 days, back to regular burger programming, and we'll see where we're at and go from there. So the point was definitely proven that it was probably water weight, sodium, and maybe just the amount of foodstuffs from all the takeaways, because 24 hours of regular eating and I've dropped 1.4 kg across those 24 hours.
Get a load of that glorious shed in the background. So breaking news, Danny's still hungry. This week was especially spicy because I had to check over my corporation tax filing and file for small business rates relief with only half a brain. The continued extreme deficit is definitely affecting mental function. I also had a slight deviation at the weekend where my lovely sister had the audacity to want to see me. So we ended up going out getting hot wings and just basically drinking way too much. I tried to maintain the deficit as much as I could during this period of time, basically just by offsetting calories elsewhere. But I will have inevitably, especially due to the alcohol, gone a little bit over than I planned for those 2 days. I think this will be kind of the end of the worst of it now that I'm essentially 1 week away from the end of it. It feels close enough now that it's just way more manageable, I think, but we'll see how the next week goes. It's over. And as you can probably tell from the nail polish and wristbands, I'm post-festival as well, so I am sufficiently refed. The last week was, as predicted, much easier, knowing that the end was just around the corner. Although the whole week I was mentally planning all of the food that I was going to eat when I finally finished. On to the most important part, the results. In 4 weeks, I'm down 4.5 kgs, which, considering how variable the weekends were, is pretty good. The InBody says my muscle mass has dropped by about 600 grams, but my body fat percentage is down from 17.1 to 13.8%. What were the takeaways? Can you lose weight on a diet that is predominantly made up of cheeseburgers and processed food? Yes. Should you? Well, I felt hungry, underfueled, longed for a solid poo, and my mental acuity was absolute garbage. Although a normal whole food deficit would still lead to feelings of hunger, in my experience, the lack of energy and mental acuity were way worse only eating the burgers. That being said, I did confirm some things about my own preferences, which are I do like more aggressive short-term cuts, and I don't mind the low food variation during it. Only eating one meal meant that there was very low mental effort and prep required. But this won't suit people with more to lose. If I had to eat only burgers for 12 weeks or more, well, I think I'd probably lose it. And that would be true of any single meal. Was I surprised by the result? Not really, because if you control for calories and protein, body weight will move in the right direction. Would I recommend the burger diet? No, not really. The whole thing would have been way more pleasant if I had lean proteins and veggies in the mix. So what's next? I'm going to return to maintenance for a couple of months, and then I think I'm going to do this again, but next time with pizza. I haven't worked out the finer details yet, but every person I told what I was doing with the burger diet asked if I was eating the bun, which kind of showed me that people still think that carbs are the real issue. So stay tuned for that absolute nightmare. And that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped to reinforce that although weight loss is multifactorial and complex, when protein and calories are controlled, regardless of the food quality, body composition will change. You can eat whatever you want if you portion control. You might just feel like shit for it. And if you did find this useful or even just mildly entertaining, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more simple information on health and fitness. See you in the next one.